Why don't you tell me a little bit before we move on back to AD, since you've had the show, or not you personally, but the show's been only on for a little bit, and I'm sure some of the audience members would be interested in how this happened, how you put together sort of the monologue staff, if you want to call it that.
Oh, I didn't really. I mean, it was more Jimmy and Mike Shoemaker who kind of hired those guys, and then the latest addition is John right over here, and he got on. He was doing sometimes we allow freelance writers to send in jokes, and he was one of those. So he did a great job for us, and now he's part of the team.
And is most of your background the people who work on the monologue stand-up? Or
no.
what?
Well, Jeremy, he'll tell you right now, comes out from news. This is very interesting. Go, Jer.
Yeah. It's true. I was producing Hardball with Chris Matthews on MSNBC. Obviously, a very, very different job. And then I ended up moving to LA to write for this show, Chocolate News on Comedy Central, which is sort of a kind of news parody. So sort of the transition sort of made sense. And then I think most of the writers wrote a packet of material for the show, and you send it in, and you hope that you get a call back. And that's how I got hired. That's how most people get these jobs in late night, is by writing a packet of material, and then hoping that they give you a ring back.
What kind of stuff is in said packet?
Well, it's, for monologue people, it's monologue jokes. And then for sketch people, and the sketch writers can talk more about it, but it's ideas for the kinds of things that we would do on the show. To show that you know the voice of the show and can write funny stuff that could potentially make it to air.
Was that, I would imagine, difficult because the show was just going on the air? I mean,
It's true. But I feel like you can still, you're still giving the producers and the head writer a sense of what you think is funny, and that says a lot, So yeah, I think those packets still give you a sense of somebody's ability to sort of adapt to styles. I know, I wrote jokes in a variety of styles to sort of show that I could do a couple different things, and I feel like that's probably what everybody did.
But Morgan, I don't think, submitted a packet. She had been writing jokes for years for other comedians and other talk shows, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote for Jimmy Kimmel Live for a couple of years, about 5 years ago or so, and then I do stand-up, and that's I think the sort of the core of what I do. That sounds awful. But I knew Miles, and I actually started on the sketch side at the show, and I'd submit monologue jokes, and I think had a decent percentage sort of stick, and it seemed like a better fit for me. I mean, I love it. If I had to choose one side, I think it's more sort of more up my alley, but. Yeah,
Tell me how it feels like when you write a joke and it goes all the way through the process.
It feels great. No, it feels it's funny because monologue is such a such a staple of talk show. It's been going on forever, and it's so hard to find a new angle, especially hey, they found a 50-million-year-old something or other, and you're like, all right, well, who's the old person we're going to do the joke about? It's probably Larry King. How do you get there? And I don't think it's fun. It's to find the fresh sort of take on whatever that story is, if you can do it. And you can't always do. I mean, sometimes, to be honest, you're not thrilled with yourself. But those jokes where if you find a new joke and you find a new take on something, I don't know. That's sort of what gets me through the day.
But do you kind of have good streaks and bad streaks? Can there be days go by that you do not get a joke into the monologue?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you know that you're not really feeling it, and then sometimes you don't know why your jokes didn't get on, and you're
I think everyone
furious.
on the staff has gotten monologue jokes on, submitting, with maybe the exception of Blyden.
I'm not.
Raise your hand. Yeah, so everyone, I think knows.
And what's weird is this was an intervention.
We try to come up with one for him, and
And Blyden writes 50 monologue jokes a day.